Hello and welcome to this video series on Rust. The purpose of this playlist is to be a no BS crash course into Rust, the programming language, not the video game. And I'm using the official Rust textbook as inspiration for this course. We will cover topics found in the textbook and finish 3 projects in increasing difficulty, starting with a random number guessing game, program that accepts command line arguments, and then finally, at the end of the course, a multi-threaded web server. I'm also thinking of throwing in an extra calculator program to help you nail down the language's fundamentals. All the topics in this series can be found in the official textbook, and I will link appropriate resources in the video description. I am making these videos under the assumption that you do have previous programming experience and preferably be familiar with the concept of memory pointers and memory management from languages like C or C++. I will also include exercises in the series where appropriate, so I encourage you to pause the video and try to think up of a solution to these exercises when they do come up. In this first video, I'm going to be guiding you through setting up a new project, describing how a Hello World program will work, and give an introduction to the package manager Cargo, talk a little bit about the println macro, and compile our program. I'm going to skip over installing Rust since that is very machine dependent. A link to installing Rust will be provided in the video description. And I'm also going to be using Zed as my IDE. It's a very Rust-friendly editor if you feel so inclined to download and use it, but any old IDE will work in this series. After you've installed Rust, you can verify your installation by running cargo version. Again, Cargo is our package manager. And we're going to be primarily using Cargo for 99% of what we're doing with Rust. Cargo does use Rust C under the hood, which is the compiler itself. You can verify that installation if you feel so inclined to do so through Rust C version. Now that we're all set up, we can create our first project. To do so, we're going to be running cargo new, and then the name of our directory for the project, which we're just going to use Hello World. And that's going to create our fancy-pantsy new project. We will have a couple of folders and files here. By default, Cargo will initialize a Git repo in our project. As you can see, we're going to be ignoring this target folder, which doesn't exist yet, but this is where our program binaries and debug symbols, etc., will live. We also have a TOML file, and that's going to act as our project's configuration file. If we ever feel like publishing our project, we can edit the name, version, and edition if you so choose. We also have a section for our dependencies down below. We're going to ignore that for now, though. Finally, and most importantly, source directory. Wow. This is where all of our code is going to live. The main function within the main RS file will always be the entry point to our program's execution. We define functions with the fn keyword and define the body of our functions with curly brackets. Pretty straightforward stuff so far. While we're here, we're going to go over the one lonely line executed by our main function, println. By default, Rust will import these essential macros and other items that are always used in development, which is how we get accessibility to this println macro. A macro is called just like a function, but is denoted by an exclamation mark. We aren't going to worry too much about macros under the hood yet, but it's useful to understand that the code defined by a macro is executed at compilation time rather than at runtime like a function. This allows the println macro to parse arguments passed to it at compilation time and make sure it's receiving valid arguments. For example, if I define x above the print line macro and print it with our hello message like so, all we're doing here is using curly brackets to print an expression. So the output of this should be hello world 5. It's a good idea to use cargo check as you develop your project. So I'll go ahead and save my file real quick. Cargo check will determine if your project can compile, and it's also going to save you time as your project grows in complexity. You can use it as kind of a checkpoint to make sure that your project is not going to break. I'll go ahead and run cargo check real quick. As you can see here, we are not in the directory, so I'll go ahead and cd into hello world and run cargo check again. And as you can see, our project does not bring up any compilation errors. We can now expect to build the program without any errors. If we made a boo-boo, which you'll make plenty in Rust, cargo check will catch that for us and display a pretty informative error message. Since println is a macro and is ran at compilation time, we get an error message for our poorly formatted string. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that real quick. So, we didn't actually format our string correctly, and Z is being smart and informing us right now, but again, good idea to use cargo check, and we get our fancy error message. And would you look at that? We expected a curly bracket to finish our string, our formatted string. To compile our program, we can run cargo build. I'll do that now. This will, not now, build. This will create a development binary in the target directory, again, right here. And it'll contain our, the target directory will contain our output files from compilation. We can run the executable directly, if we so choose, by going to it directly by target debug hello world. And look at that, hello world 5. If we don't feel like doing these two separate steps and to save time, we can just do cargo run instead, which will do both at the same time. So we went ahead and compiled our hello world and also went ahead and ran the program. If we wanted to create an optimized binary to share with friends, we can do cargo build release, but we're not going to be dealing with that yet because we're focused with development. But if we did want to share this with our friends, we can find it under release and our executables right here. Okie doke. So as a recap, we created our first project using cargo new. And then we also looked at our program's main function and explored the concept of macros. So print line is a macro, and that's denoted by an exclamation mark. We checked if our program will compile with cargo check and ran our program with cargo run. Congrats! This is a Rust program. If you followed along, you now have Hello World.